The battlefield still smoldered when Elias Varron stumbled through the wreckage. Smoke curled in choking plumes, the acrid stench of burned metal and blood mingling in the air. He had not meant to be here. Elias was no soldier, just a mechanic from a backwater human colony. But when the orbital station above the planet was attacked by unknown forces, escape pods scattered across the surface like falling stars. His had landed in the valley where the battle had raged. Now, rifle fire was a memory, silence heavy except for the occasional groan of twisted steel. Elias adjusted his torn jacket and pressed forward, careful not to trip over the corpses of armored warriors, both human and alien. A faint sound reached him. Not mechanical, not the moan of settling wreckage, but a sharp, pained exhale. He followed it. Behind a fallen war machine lay a figure unlike any Elias had seen. She was tall, easily 7 feet though collapsed now. Armor of violet alloy clung to her body, cracked and bleeding strange silver-blue fluid. Her hair, long and glimmering as if woven with starlight, spilled across the dirt. She stirred weakly when his shadow fell over her. Her eyes, luminous, burning with strange golden light, met his. "Human," she rasped, voice deep and resonant despite her wounds. "Leave me." Elias blinked. He could hardly comprehend her words, though her tone was clear. She expected to die. He crouched beside her. "You're bleeding out. If I leave you, you won't last the hour." A faint, bitter laugh escaped her lips. "Better so. My enemies will soon return. You will not survive if you remain." Elias looked around. Corpses everywhere. No movement. His instincts screamed at him to run. But something in her expression, a mix of defiance and pain, held him still. "I can't just walk away," he muttered. Pulling out the survival kit from his pod, Elias tore strips of cloth and fetched antiseptic. He knelt and began tending her wounds. The woman stared at him as if he were insane. "Do you know whom you touch?" she asked softly. "No," Elias admitted. "But right now, you're just someone bleeding in front of me." Her eyes widened ever so slightly. "Middle." It took hours to stabilize her. Her wounds were severe, lacerations from energy blades, burns from plasma. Elias' hands were clumsy. He was no medic. Yet, he worked tirelessly, whispering words of reassurance to her though she barely responded. When at last her breathing steadied, he sat back exhausted. "You're alive," he said, more to himself than to her. She tilted her head, studying him with those strange golden eyes. "You are unusual. Most people would have left you." Elias guessed. "Most would have killed me," she corrected, her voice regaining a shard of strength. "I am Isra Vale, the sovereign empress of the Valen Dominion. To touch me is to risk annihilation." Elias froze. The name was not unfamiliar. Even in the remote colony, whispers of the Valens reached, a warrior species whose empire spanned star systems. Their empress was said to be unmatched, a living weapon, capable of tearing through armies. And he had just bandaged her with strips of torn jacket. "Right," Elias said slowly. "Good thing I didn't know that." To his surprise, Isra laughed, though it was low, almost dangerous. "You are either fearless or foolish, human. Maybe both." Over the next 2 days, Elias stayed with her. He found water, built a small shelter, kept her wounds clean. In turn, Isra's strength returned bit by bit. She told him fragments of the battle. Her enemies had betrayed her, an alliance of rivals who feared her rule. She had fought until her guards were slain and her flagship destroyed. Now they believed her dead. "Then they'll come looking," Elias said grimly. They will, she agreed. And when they find us, they will kill you for aiding me. Elias shrugged. I've lived my whole life fixing engines. Maybe I was due for a stupid decision. Isera's gaze softened. She did not say it, but in her heart, she had never encountered a creature quite like this human. Every other being in her galaxy feared her, obeyed her, or plotted against her. Yet he, fragile mortal, had chosen to stay by her side with no expectation. That unsettled her more than any wound. Rising conflict. By the fourth night, ships appeared in the sky. Not human rescue craft, Valen war cruisers. They've come, Isera murmured. Her expression was no longer weary. It was lethal. She stood, towering, her wounds bound but her presence fierce. Even injured, she radiated power like a star threatening to go supernova. Elias grabbed the only weapon he had salvaged, a half-broken plasma pistol. What do we do? You survive, Isera said. She looked down at him, her golden eyes glowing brighter. Stay behind me. Do not falter. The war cruisers landed. Dozens of armored soldiers poured out, their weapons aimed. One stepped forward, a commander in crimson plating. Isera Vale, he sneered. So the Empress still clings to life. Pathetic. Commander Kale, Isera replied coolly. You have betrayed your oath. I have liberated our people from your tyranny. Your reign ends tonight. He raised his blade. And in that moment, Elias saw what she truly was. Isera moved like a storm. Despite her wounds, she struck with devastating force, tearing through soldiers, ripping weapons from their hands. She was not merely a warrior. She was a force of nature, a living engine of destruction. Elias fired his pitiful pistol, dropping one soldier who aimed at her blind spot. He fought clumsily, but she noticed, and shielded him instinctively, even taking a blast that scorched her armor rather than letting it touch him. Together, improbably, they survived. Kale lay broken at Isera's feet. You should have finished me, he spat blood. But you are weak, Empress. You protect even the lesser species. Isera's eyes flickered toward Elias. For once, she did not answer. Climax. After the battle, silence fell again. Elias leaned against the wreckage, shaking. His pistol was empty, his hands trembling. Isera approached him, still towering, her armor cracked, her hair streaked with blood and starlight. She knelt, an empress kneeling before a human. You risked your life, she said, not knowing who I was, not fearing what I am. Elias gave a weak grin. Guess I'm an idiot. No, she murmured. You are what my people are not. You act without calculation, without expectation. Her hand, massive and calloused, brushed his shoulder gently. Such beings are rare. Perhaps that is why your kind endures, even without fleets or empires. Elias swallowed, unsure how to respond. The war cruisers still lingered. Without their commander, the surviving troops awaited orders. And when Isera rose, commanding presence radiating from every fiber of her being, they dropped to one knee. The Empress still lived. She looked out at them, then back to Elias. They will spread word. The galaxy will know I survived. And that a human stood by my side. That doesn't sound like it'll make me popular, Elias muttered. On the contrary, Isera said. It makes you untouchable. Ending. In the weeks that followed, Elias found himself no longer a simple mechanic, but something far stranger. Isera's loyalists rallied to her. Her enemies scattered. Wherever she went, Elias was at her side, bewildered but unwilling to leave. Rumors spread like wildfire. The Empress had been saved not by her armies, but by a lone human. Some mocked it as impossible. Others whispered it as prophecy, that the fragile race of Earth held secrets the galaxy